the wacky world of MultimediaJay.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to add the former sync cable to what's left of the old MP3 player. No. Actually, the reason why I got some zip bags for these things is because I'm actually planning on making this into a project. I'm actually thinking maybe take what's left of this, or go to a flea market or a Salvation Army store or something, see if I can buy an old beat up like CD player or something with a headphone jack, and see if I can desolder the headphone jack and actually put it on this board, get it working somehow, and then basically get it working again that way. That's really all that's wrong with this thing, was the headphone jack kind of let go. So this thing will still work. You can hook the battery up, you can finagle the battery with the circuit board and actually get it to fire up. It just doesn't have anywhere to send the audio. If I can get a headphone jack from, somewhere, I was looking online, I couldn't find any replacements for sale anywhere, but if I can get a headphone jack for this, I could actually reassemble it and get it working again. There were other reasons why I wanted to get rid of this Sansa too. For one thing, the sync cable, as you can see, is the old school non-USB style, and the jack was actually a little worn out. So you had to be really careful not to wiggle the cable when you had it running, because this jack was getting loose too. So it had a good run. The reason why I initially got this Sandisk Sansa instead of the far more popular Apple iPods at the time was, well, right there. Screws. Right there. Screws. At a time when an iPod battery could go dead in as little as 11 months, basically, and then Apple would charge you a repair fee at the time. I read all the horror stories of people's iPod batteries going dead. I'm having a hard time not saying iPhone or iPad, because the iPod has kind of taken a back seat ever since those devices came out. But I remember all the horror stories about the iPhone and the iPad, about iPod batteries going dead, and then Apple charging a repair fee. And if you wanted to void your warranty, you could take a putty knife and take your device apart and fix it that way. But I figured, just look for a device that has screws on the back plate. And so I wound up with a Sandisk Sansa instead of an iPod. And I watched all the reviewers make fun of the cheap little wheel thing and whatnot. But it's time to say goodbye to this thing. Although it is most certainly a project, it's most certainly a potential future project. That's why I'm keeping all the parts in a bag. Heck, I could even see if I can find some replacement screws for this cover. But this is most certainly still a project, as long as this battery still holds a charge, and there's still things you can get online. Oh yeah, I am rocking the robe. And I am rocking the robe today, by the way. I don't feel like putting the heat on yet. It's like still 40 something out, so it's not all that cold anymore, so I'm kind of cheaping it out on the heat. I got better things to spend money on than... Anyways, so out with the old and in with the new. So let's just disconnect from the tripod here and kind of see how we can get this thing working with and without the tripod. I'm trying to do this with the tripod so I can have two hands for some things. So this is the replacement, the Sandisk Sansa Clip, which is the Sandisk Sansa Clip Plus 4 gig. So the old one was a 2 gig, this is a 4 gig. Yay! I actually deliberately bought the older model because there's a newer one out called the Sandisk Sansa Clip Sport. Or excuse me, the Sandisk Clip Sport. They took the Sansa name away. And I was reading up on the features, and some of the features have actually been removed from these devices. So whereas this old thing could do things like audio recording and stuff like that, this and this one I think can pick up where it left off. Yeah, it's got a little microphone there too. And also has an FM tuner. Likewise with this one, MP3 players are becoming niche products, largely marketed towards people who want music while they work out and stuff. So the Clip Sport actually, it's just not a Sansa, but the Clip Sport actually removes some of the features of the Sansa. Now, I have nothing against the Sansa series, and I don't need something with 20-something hour battery life, because for the most part, this device just plays music on my commutes and stuff. I don't go on long trips or anything like that, and if I did, I'd probably have the tablet do some double duty and stuff like that. But that's the thing. I don't want to buy to cover every possible situation ever when the odds are that I'm only going to have certain situations taking place. So let's try not to get everyone tripod sick here and loosen everything up. Let's get this thing out of the box. Obviously it has a fake sticker over the front to put something on the screen. And oh, the manual's bouncing around here. Small size with big features and sound. Download your content right out of the Sandisk Sansa Clip Plus player. Play preloaded. MP3, WMA, Secure WMA, OGG Vorbis, FLAC, plus audiobooks and podcasts, so a couple of open source formats in there, so I mostly just use iTunes and put everything into MP3 and call it a day. It's simple enough, although if I really wanted to, I could mess around with some of the open source formats and stuff like that. I don't like splitting hairs over digital music, though, because the odds are that what comes out of this thing is going to be playing through, like, car speakers. It's not like my system at home. And even with my system at home, my sound card has some DACs that can handle the signal and things like that. Easy entertainment, because it has a micro SD slot. You know, the old one had one too. I don't know if it supported HC though, but I never even filled up the internal memory on the old one, never mind the new one. So let's get this sucker open here and see what we have to play with. So, let's see this. How do we get it out? They didn't use the plastic packs that nobody could. Oh, a little bit of security there. Alright, there's our quick start guide. Or guide de inicio rápido, or something like that. And here's what we have to play with. Here's what we have to play with. There's the little tiny device. It's actually smaller than its predecessor. That's cool. A mini USB to charge with, obviously. And some Blue earbuds that I'm guessing aren't going to be too exciting. There I go again with the 2.2 stuff. Alright, let's just get this out of the way here. And, well, let's see what we have to play with here. Yeah, nice and small. Look at this little thing. It's more plasticky. It doesn't have the metal backing. Howdy, folks. It's plasticky. It's more plasticky. It doesn't have the metal backing. It's got a volume rocker on the back. Do I see any screws underneath? There we go. No, I don't see anything oh, wait a minute. The lighting is terrible. I can't see, but I suppose if I wanted to mess with the battery in this thing, I could put something in it or something like that. Ooh, little power thing on top, and then the headphones come out the side. So the big reason why I'm even still messing with MP3 players instead of just using the tablet for everything is buttons, tactile feedback. You're up, down, left, right, push the button in the middle. There's a home button like that. It's a lot easier to reach for this while driving and use the buttons without having to look at the screen, like next song, something like that. 9 times out of 10, I'm either adjusting the volume or I'm going like next song, previous song. So I can do all of that just by touching the buttons. And once I get used to the button layout, it's like touch typing. I can do all this without taking my eyes off the road. Now, I do have a program on my tablet called Meridian Player that functions and is made for people to be able to use without taking their eyes off the road, but you have to grab the tablet a certain way and you have to swipe in a certain direction. It's a little bit clunkier, plus it requires more power equipment. This has like hours and hours of battery life, whereas the other device doesn't really the tablet requires extra power. It doesn't have anywhere near the battery life of this thing. Plus, I might want to use the battery life for something else. I'm just trying to get that thing on the screen off of there. We might just end up doing that. Oh, I just turned it on. Cool, it's lighting up. I just turned it on by mistake while trying to get the stupid little cover screen off. I can see the screen underneath. I might have to go get a screwdriver. Alright, finished up with the rest of the packaging. That right there is the charger cable. Really small. I imagine my mini USBs will cover the charging needs of this thing quite nicely, so I probably won't have much use for that. The little earbuds, I haven't tried them yet, but yeah, I'll check them out later. Don't really need them though, because I already have Sennheisers. So the big problem I have with the Sennheisers is that they're the earbud equivalent of completely over-the-ear headphones. So you can actually hear yourself breathe when you wear those things, whereas these things just pop in your ears and you get some sound and stuff like that. And now the main event, significantly more plasticky than its predecessor, and it's got a little clip on the back, hence the name Sansa Clip. Hey guys! Hey guys, how you doing? Yes, yes, yes. Or something like that. Micro SD goes right there. Micro SD, volume rocker, and USB. Let's turn this thing on and see what it says. Yeah, if I can fit it in the shot. There we go. It's like a really bad Let's Play. It has a 4-second delay when you, or not 4, it's got a delay when you go to switch it off, so just switch that over, play your, yeah, well, it's playing a bunch of built-in songs. Back to music list. No, how do we get to the main home button? There we go. So we have settings, the voice recorder, the FM radio, the slot radio, which I guess he works off of the built-in card and or the card you put into this thing anyways. Audiobook, radio system settings, things like that. It's kind of like a really old, nice frame rate. Didn't think I'd be saying that about something like this, but yeah, it kind of looks like an old Atari or something along those lines in terms of its monochrome type color and stuff like that. Alright, let's load some Ethan Meixel onto this thing and blast it over the speakers. So I just got done listening to the built-in earbuds that came with the Sansa Clip, and yeah, they're entry level. So basically, to make a long story short, these with EQ are equivalent to these Sennheisers without EQ. So entry level is entry level is entry level. Now let's get on to the fun part, namely playing some loud, not loud, but not too loud, but let's blast some music here. We got Ethan Meixel's Leadfoot track loaded, which is the theme I've been using for the Quick O-Flicks. And first we're going to play it through my current setup with the clip speakers and the whole 9 yards, the EQ and the X-Fi and all that other fun stuff. And then we're going to play around and see how close this little thing can come to it. I don't think this is going to work very well because the microphone on this camera isn't all that great. But hey, let's try it out for science! Plus we get to blast some nice rock music and just as the sun's starting to go down, but yeah, anyways, hopefully we don't tick off the neighbors. So, a little bit of Leadfoot in Winamp with the whole 9 yards on my current setup, with the home theater box, with all the tweaks to the audio, with everything. This guy's music is awesome, by the way. Check it out on the YouTube audio library. Oh yeah. Skip ahead a little. There, ooh, that too. Some nice guitar work. Alright, that's enough Winamp for now. Let's fire this thing up and let's change the source on the AV box to auxiliary. So there's no EQ on this. There's volume leveling, but that's about it. I wonder how much I'm going to have to crank the volume in order for it to even go over the preamp anyways. So this is Leadfoot. We're going to start out with the normal EQ and play with the EQs on the Sansa Clip. So let's roll with this thing here. Is it going to play? How much am I going to have to crank the volume to get it to go over the... I might be on the wrong source. It's not playing. 9, 10... Oh, it's that low. I'm going to have to turn on the preamp feature on this thing. This is normal EQ. Let's go through the EQ list. Very tinny compared to my system. Rock. Takes out some of the mid-range. Pop. Accents the mid-range. This sounds terrible. It sounds like a soup can radio. Jazz, not bad. Getting close to my system here. Classical softens everything. Funk. Tinny. Hip-hop. That's probably the closest. Dance. Let's put this on the screen here. Not like you can read anyways. Full bass. Focus. Full treble. to stop. How do I get off the screen? Oh, push enter. Alright. Push enter. Alright, it's enough of that. Aside from this horrendous little charge cable that I probably will never use, this is a pretty decent buy, I'd say. I suppose it'll be a somewhat decent replacement, although it has less metal and more plastic than its predecessor. I suppose I could make a somewhat decent device out of this Sansa Clip Plus. These things, keep them around in case I, don't want to wear totally in-the-ear earbuds or something like that. They're somewhat listenable, but, yeah, so, I got two fixer-upper projects now, if I so choose to fix them up. The old Sansa and the tripod, so, anywho, yeah, whatever, we'll figure it out. So that is the Sansa Clip Plus, the new music player that I have. My biggest concern, though, is not so much the headphone jack wearing out, but these little USBs. Don't really have a good track record with these things. My top concern is that little piece of plastic in the middle breaks, it gets down to raw pins, and then suddenly we can't hook it up anymore. Cheap, but cheap is cheap is cheap. Maybe I'll have to just get a set of tiny hands, one of those tiny hands things you use for soldering and stuff like that, and hone my soldering skills to repair, modify, or even improve the design of stuff that I buy. Sounds like a nice little hobby I could start up. Anyways, till next time, this is MultimediaJay, signing off. Thanks for stopping by.